Come on. Chop, chop. Chop, chop. I'm a shepherd. I'm dancing. Hey, what it do, cousins? It's your boy Benny Hunnits. I'm with my man, The Funk is Real. This is the third episode of the Villagers podcast, and we have special guests with us today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
I'm Metti.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Effy.
Hey, everyone. I am Yonnas.
All right. I appreciate you guys for coming through. Today, we have a very important topic, special topic to talk about. Here in the village, we have a lot of people that we like to tap into. As we said, though, we represent our own people, right? We are in a Venn diagram of people. We're Ethiopian, we're African, we're Black, we're American. We have all these different things. And within all of our groups, one topic that we really just don't talk about enough is the LGBT community, LGBTQ plus community within our community. So I wanted to go ahead and have that conversation today. And appreciate y'all for coming through, first and foremost.
But of course, before we can have that conversation, I just wanted to mention that this episode has been brought to you by Mega Sweets. Pastries, cakes, and cookies. Please hit up Mega Sweets on Instagram to sweeten up your next event, birthday, or even podcast. Again, Mega Sweets.
And that's at Megasweets _ MEGASWEETS _ on Instagram.
And if you type in Megagina, you will also find it.
Not letting this go. Okay. Mega Nanya.
I can't wait to
That's
bite
the
into
Finsta.
this.
Yeah.
What do we have? It's an Oreo buttery chocolate cake. If you can't see it, too bad.
Buttercream.
It's on Mega Sweets at Mega Sweets on Instagram.
There you go. Bet. So, to get us kicked off, I mean, we have a lot of fun on this podcast, but we also want to educate. So I think very simply, if we could just talk about literally what LGBTQ plus even stands for and what that means, and then I think we can just go from there. If anybody wants to kick it off.
Okay. So L stands for lesbian. G stands for gay. B stands for bisexual. T stands for transgender. And queer, or Q stands for queer.
All right.
I'm losing my thoughts.
And we have the plus sign because there's also a bunch of other
Identities.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to stick with the top five right now.
Yeah.
All right.
And so within there, where do you guys identify?
Well, I am G for gay. More like androgynous because that's like a gender identity.
Mm-hmm.
But my pronouns are he and him.
Okay.
So when you are talking to me, he and him are the pronouns.
Bet. That's useful.
Yeah, we're going to come back to that and try to touch on more on that word androgynous.
Okay.
And the he and him thing
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah. I definitely identify as queer. I guess pronouns, she. I mean, I've never really been that mad about he's either. So whatever.
word. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Flexible.
All right.
I guess so. Okay, let's go back to the identity thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you were speaking on, what's the word again?
Androgynous.
Androgynous. Can you, I guess, elaborate on that a little bit?
So it's just a gender identity, and how you go by. So androgynous people are masculine and feminine energies. I have both, as you can tell, and whenever I'm out in public or whatever, not all the time, but sometimes I do get misgendered, which is fine because I don't take offense to it.
Mm.
But that's the androgynous coming in, you can be referred to as, but here comes the pronouns. I like to be referred to he and him, but people are not going to see that. And I don't take offense to it. So it's more like of a flexible thing, like what Effy said. But
So when you said people are not going to see that, like, what if, let me not say what if, but there's obviously a conversation about the pronouns, right?
Mhm.
Even like presidential candidates now are putting them in their bios
Mhm.
because it's like a thing. Is there a possibility, or do you think that maybe like, because like transgender
Mhm.
is about people who
transition.
right? So do you know if people are calling you, miscalling you her or she because they think you may be transgender, or is it because
No,
of
that's
makeup, or what
that's
is
just
it?
ignorance. That's
Oh,
that's
okay.
lack of knowledge.
Okay.
So that's not. I mean, you can ask that question,
Mhm.
but most of the time, if they're still having that masculine side of them, they're not transitioning. But
Okay.
no, there are actual trans women out there that still have their masculine features. So I know a woman that still has a beard that likes to be referred to a trans woman, but that's what she likes to be referred, not to what anyone else thinks of her. So
Okay.
you might see someone that, well, not you, but someone might see someone that has a beard and will look at them like, oh, that's just lack of knowledge. But I mean, in the proper terms, it's just go by what they like to be called.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like really more appropriate to ask if you don't know.
Yeah, and it would take less offense to it than just assuming.
Okay, cool.
So it's better to ask before just coming out and just saying.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
there's-
safe bets. They
Yeah.
is pretty people because like one of my good friends that I actually just one of my girlfriend's good friends, but like I just met her recently. I see I messed up there. Their pronouns are it's
They, them. Yeah, so those are all pronouns. So let's list all the pronouns. They, them, he, him, she, her. So those are what you're referring to in a subject when you're talking about someone.
okay, so
So they, them can be both. You get it?
and
Okay.
they them can technically be a singular person.
So how would
that's
you?
just
What
up to
do you prefer for yourself? Do you prefer she?
That's kind of what I was saying. She's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, I definitely have been. Would you say misgendered?
Misgendered,
as well?
yeah. So
It's like-
I don't take offense to
Yeah.
it.
Because I know you dad and Rachel's mom.
Yeah. So that's cool too. Exactly.
Yeah, so that's what threw me off.
Everybody. It's because
Yeah.
everybody. I just feel like everybody has motherly and fatherly tendencies about themselves. You know, I be feeling like an old man sometimes.
Word.
Sometimes I feel like a little kid. You know, little dude, maybe 13-year-old, whatever. So I don't know.
Dope.
Pronouns are just more of what you relate to, what you like to be called.
So, at what point did y'all start identifying yourselves as what you are?
You gonna go first? Who's gonna go first? You?
I mean, I suppose like my coming of age story in the queer side was super late. It was like maybe I was, I'll say like in college, so like 22 or so. So like I say 22 and maybe a couple years even after that. And it's kind of hard to do that in a Habesha community where it's like there are no examples of that. So you're just like, how can you be something you're not really sure about, you know, or you've never seen, you know what I'm saying? Even just growing up in Dallas, of course, there was other gay queer people out there, but I mean, they're at a young age. Like, who do you really know?
You're talking about
Especially in the
within
90s.
yourself. You're saying like
Within my community, even if it was some people at my school, people I was close with, there were no examples.
yeah.
People just even around me.
Yeah.
Definitely 1,000% not an African community. I still barely know queer people in the
Yep.
African community.
And we're almost in 2020.
I know,
Yeah.
shit. Almost 30. Shit.
Yeah. So so you just feel alone. You
Mm.
really feel like you're the odd one out the bunch. And it's just like it brings you down a little.
Yeah.
But are you done with it? Or are you gonna keep going?
Go for it.
Okay, for me, I was growing up. When I was little, I kind of had like, I don't know. It wasn't that I was waking up every day and was like, I want to have feminine characteristics.
Characteristic. Gotcha.
I can't talk.
Mhm.
I'm getting nervous, but
Mhm.
I never woke up like that. You know, it's just me. So I don't know. I kind of had like a hard life growing up because there was, like Effy said, no examples. So I just felt alone. But there was always some people in school too that were like, not like everyone else. They were like me. So I didn't feel alone.
Mm.
But I started giving myself an identity when I was like maybe going into junior high, because then I was like, okay, I think I know what I am. And that's just me being attracted to the same gender. But even then I was still too young. Now I'm still learning, Yeah. So like going into high school, then I was like, okay, yeah, I am, gay. I don't want to transition. And there's other people that are like me, And I was growing up with social media. Okay. And social media taught me a lot too, especially when I was in junior high. I was with the stan culture. And if you don't know what stan is, it's like a stalker and a fan put together. Gotcha. So
I thought that S stood for super fan.
No. So it's almost
fan. Okay.
Yeah. That works.
You know where that started from though? It's crazy. Eminem. Yeah, Eminem. Stan.
So
so like
stalker, if you think about it. So you ever heard of Stan Twitter? Of like how powerful Stan Twitter is and how they like kind of bring down like celebrities and stuff as trolling wise. Yeah. But that's just what I grew up with as my friends. Like we were all, all into one artist, and I grew off of that artist and learning about everyone. So I didn't feel alone in junior high and going into high school because I didn't care about the people that I went to school with. I was growing up with the people online that I already knew that was in the community. Wow. So I was learning so much like top, bottom, like sexual orientations and all of that. And I used to make jokes of it because we can make jokes of it in the community. Sure. And that's what we were doing. So I was like, I already had that knowledge going into high school. That's why I'm comfortable of being, who I am because I have that knowledge.
So you found your community online.
Basically, because I knew I wasn't the only one.
Yeah. But no, that just goes to show you how powerful like social media and and that whole aspect is that there's a whole community of some like-minded person like you that if you can't find somebody near you, at least you can reach out there and be able to connect with somebody in a similar aspect. And well, I know there's an age gap between y'all two because unfortunately, we didn't really grow up in the social media era coming up in like junior high and high school, right? Mm-hmm. So you didn't really have a community to turn to social media wise, right?
Yeah, I got my phone in junior high, so that was crazy.
I mean, even then, like social media wasn't.
It wasn't even social. No, it was strictly to call your mama because she was late. You know what I'm saying? Fact. Like, where are you? I'm sick of calling you on 5 people's phones to call you. And that was strictly the reason.
So, kind of going back to what you were saying about how you kind of started learning a little later in your college years. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, what was it? What was life for you? Did you feel something? Because basically, what a lot of people, who are really curious on things, always wonder. Like even myself, do you feel like you were born this way, or do you feel like it's something that was learned from maybe what you've seen, whether it's on TV, movies, or just other influence?
Mm-hmm. Personally, I'm sure Yonnas feels the same way. It's like an innate characteristic you're already born with that you slowly like discover over time, like that you're not sure about. Like I was saying previously, it's a matter of something that's there that you have to kind of find out slowly. And just being in the community that we are, it takes longer than probably normal. Especially even in this generation compared to older generation.
So that makes me want to talk about how it's like not a taught behavior. Like people really got to get that out their head because, there are, obviously if it was taught, like where would I get it? Where would I, learn it from? Like I only learned it from other people. So I was raised by heterosexual people, straight people. So your parents are a big influence on your life, and like,
then you still are you.
So I don't think I got it from. You can learn about it, but you can't learn to be it. Like it's just the top behavior standard really has to get out people's head. I don't think that it's taught. It is definitely not taught. Yeah, that's why like there's still arguments till this day about how LGBT topics are being discussed on like Disney or like what's that one show? It was on a show that got passed that wanted to talk about it. I'm not too sure where it was. I think it might have been in Chicago. I'm not too sure, but people were like, oh, I don't want my kids to be, gay
Exposed.
and all this and that. Like, you are who you are. Like, there's so many identities, and it's like learning about it isn't going to make you be it. That's like learning about Popeye's chicken as a commercial. I don't want to turn into a chicken, It's just that same idea. Like, it's really ignorant for people to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there is people who do feel that way.
Don't be afraid to grab the mics, by the way, y'all.
Oh yeah, just to catch a sound and stuff.
Yeah.
But there is people who do say that, who feel that media is somewhat responsible for influencing people's thoughts and actions. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
That's accurate on certain, like, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Not with sexuality.
Actually, what something you said I didn't even think about until today. It's actually a positive because of social media. This idea that you're able to, it's not about learning it, but you're able to discover it within yourself faster because other people are like that in the world.
Telling you
And it
other
makes the
things
world,
that you've experienced.
Yeah, and it makes the world a lot smaller. I never thought about that. Till
Yeah,
today.
so it's like it's to yourself. It's like what you like or what you. It's to yourself. It's like what you like or what you don't like. So I was reading stuff every day like every other day, going to school. I didn't really have the motivation to go to school because it was like I was like the odd one out the bunch, and I was always getting treated a little bit different than other people. So I was learning like, okay, I like this, I like that, and then that's when I started getting confident. And people weren't like, they didn't have the courage, like myself, to even try to do what they wanted to do. You hear about this stuff online. Oh, people say what they want to say, but it's really true that they don't say it to your face because they can't say it really to someone confident. Not saying that I haven't been bashed, in person before. I've definitely been bashed in person before, physically, mentally, verbally, all of that. But I mean, that's what makes me who I am today.
Word.
So we can talk about the physical parts later.
Okay. Word.
No, but I think what you're going back to what you were saying, there's definitely some, I think it can't, like you were mentioning, is this something you can learn in just everyday life media? If anything, I think it just tells you something about yourself that was already there, for sure. It just makes you, you start to realize, like, for example, when I was younger, I didn't even date anyone regardless of gender, whether if they were women or men. But like my biggest thing was I never realized when I had a crush on girls. I would look at it as, like, for example, I had a friend in, we'll say 6th grade, right? I met her and immediately I was like, I want to be friends with her, but very strongly, let's say. Like she's cool as hell. Like, I want to hang out with her. What's that? Knowing now, it's like, dude, you have a crush on her. Come on. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what do you know when you're 12 years old? What do you know when you're 15 years old? There's signs of it throughout your life that maybe later after you realize it, you're like,
it was already there,
I was
but
tripping.
I'm just
I
learning.
should have known that. Yeah. But it's like, how do you learn something when it's like you said, you don't watch a video of someone 15 years old that says, man, I used to have these little crushes on these people and I didn't even know. Like, how would you ever know?
Yeah.
Word.
So that like brings me back to like 6th grade. I had crushes on like the guys there, but obviously I didn't know anything about all of that. So
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about like
It wasn't physical. It was just a
physical or
matter
nothing.
of
It was just
attraction,
attraction.
natural
So
attraction.
I'm just like, okay, I was like that, and you just learn from it as you go on.
Word.
So, as you were kind of saying, like, you learn as you go on. And even with learning, like you were saying, your families, what is your family's perception of, or have y'all come out to your family first, I should ask, right?
Okay, you go first.
Well,
Yeah.
if you haven't, they know now, right?
Yeah, about to say.
No, I'm out. That was fun.
Hold on. There's more to that story than that.
Mhm.
Good going.
Describe
It
our
was-
coming out stories.
Yeah.
It was literally everything you'd imagine an Habesha coming out story was. Like,
Yeah.
like, what did I do? How did I fail? Who taught you this?
That's the
all
best
the
one.
typical ones.
Who taught you
literally,
this?
who taught you this? She was like, I knew I shouldn't have sent you to school in Austin. I was like, what? What do you mean?
Them weird white people
Them weird-
that corrupted
hippies.
you.
But like, no, just stuff like that. Pretty much, it's a matter of them looking inwardly towards themselves about something when really it's nothing to do with them. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Anytime someone does something that, I don't know, upsets you / surprises you,
Mhm.
you might be in a matter of thinking like, what did I do to deserve this, or what did I do to help this, or why didn't I see this type
Yeah.
of a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the bulk of that conversation. It was definitely more of a, my mom's pretty cool, definitely doesn't accept it or talk about it. She's more of the ignoring type, but we talk still. It's not a matter of like I mean, I was already living by myself and everything at this point. I was like 23. I was just like, I knew my mama couldn't say nothing if I paid for all my things. What's she gonna say to me?
Yeah.
Be like, oh,
That's what I was gonna ask next. 'Cause
Yeah.
next is out. Like, there's one thing to come out, but then how's the consistent relationship? Like, up to
it
now?
definitely changes because like, especially when I'm 29. It's a matter of I'm dating a long-term girlfriend. We just moved in together.
Nice.
It's like after a certain point, it's like, yeah, you have a good relationship, but if your parents don't learn to accept that and not just literally ignore it and not think about it, once you get older, that's your whole life.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mm,
I mean, I can't see kids now, but let's say I do have kids, right?
yeah.
With another woman, how would we ever have a relationship, her knowing all of that, and that's my whole life? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like it definitely changes a lot, and if your parents aren't a certain way, I guess you could say, it'll change your relationships in the long run, even if in that moment y'all are good.
I
Yeah.
got
You know?
you. What about you?
For
start,
me,
start from the jump.
so growing up, I've always been feminine. So it was never a surprise. Like I would go to functions, I would, dance feminine. People would like to talk a lot of mess.
Mm.
It's fine. At that time, I mean, I didn't know. I was literally just having just feminine ways and just going into school, learning still. I didn't have the best coming out, like what Effie said. It was always like, well, my mom actually never questioned what about myself.
Mm.
She always knew.
Mm.
I feel like parents always know, especially if you are not what how society tells you to be.
Yeah.
So I never went by how other people need to tell me how I need to be, just because I care about myself. I care about my happiness. So I feel like that's what comes first. And so my mom always knew. And going into high school, junior high year, I started wearing makeup. Never thought I would ever freaking wear makeup. Never thought I would ever make this as something that would further make my career. Going into high school, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I still was so lost. And I found a passion in makeup. Every day, like my mom, when she would go home, actually, I started playing with my mom's makeup. And I would leave like dirty Q-tips with eyeliner on it in her bathroom before like I went to school. Like I used to always I started off with filling in my eyebrows because I had like really sparse eyebrows. And then I started going in with contouring to make my cheekbones look more pronounced, and then I started going in with like concealer because I wanted to like hide my bags or like my dark circles, and then like it went to like going into a full face from watching videos on YouTube and like being inspired, and was like I want to become a content creator. So it started off with that, and I started wearing makeup, and my mom actually never knew. My dad didn't know. Only people that knew was people I was going to school with.
Mm.
And
So you were taking the makeup off when you got home?
yes,
Okay,
I would
good.
take my makeup off every day before entering the house because I didn't want my mom to know. But it made me so happy that I found a passion.
Mm.
It made me so happy that I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so confident with it on. And I kept looking at myself and was like, I look good. Like no one can tell me. And I feel like that's the thing. So one night my mom knew I was gay, but let me tell you. One night I walked in. First of all, I would go party every night in high school.
Okay.
And it was kind of a bad thing, but that's where I found my fun with my friends. So I went up the stairs to my house and it was really dark. Well, first off, no one's at home. It's going to be dark. And the light on the hallway was on. I made a video about this on YouTube. I had a coming out story.
Okay.
But the hallway light was on and I had a full face of makeup. So my mom was home. So I ran to the bathroom and was ready to take it off. And I locked both doors, tried to take off my makeup. And my mom was like, hey, you here? What's up? I'm like, oh no. She's like, why? Why is the door locked? Why is the sink on? Tell me, open the door. I'm like, I'm using the bathroom. She's like, no, you're not using the bathroom if the sink is on. Open up. My mom's not dumb. And I used to always think that I can get away with things, but my mom is never like that. As
They
long
let
as you
you
have a
get away
brain,
with it.
Yeah.
thank you. So she just kept banging on the door. I had no choice but to open it. I'm trying to take this makeup off and I got eyeliner running down my eye.
Yeah.
So I opened the door and she seen it and she was like, I already knew you were gay. Like, it's fine. So then she just walks back to her bedroom and I was like, it was such a relief off my shoulders. I was like, oh, wow. So then like I took it off and we sat down, we talked in the bedroom. We were like, yeah, I already knew it was obvious. Like she rarely wears makeup. So like
All the
why
makeup missing.
Thank you. Like,
Yeah.
why is that? She had just eyeliner, eyebrow products, and all those type of stuff. But why were they misplaced? Like, I just wasn't thinking at the time because I had to hurry up and go to school, and you're just now waking up. So it's like your brain isn't really functioning. So I'm like, she just knew it was just like a time and effect cause.
Were you in a single parent household?
No, I grew up with my mom and dad. And they both got divorced when I was, I think, 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Just trust issues and, a lot of stuff, I guess. But I grew up with my mom after and as like a single mother. She just raised me.
Okay. So
I'm still linked. Yeah, so that's when we're talking about the communications.
Yeah.
And I still communicate with my mom and dad like every day, every other day. I live with my mom, so I see her every day. And is Americanized the word? Americanized?
Yes, westernized. Whatever.
My mom is very Americanized. She's not like any other Habesha that has that idea of the community already. Like she was obviously because it's like you learn about the community. So me and my mom, we watch Pose. Me and my mom, we watch Euphoria. Those are shows that are LGBT oriented. I love those shows. And my mom just watching that, she knows like the community is not a bad thing as what other people make it seem like. She really just is, yes, and is so inspired by them and their confidence. And so I think most of my family know I'm gay. I mean, growing up, I was always the feminine kid. So,
so what was your dad's response?
Yeah.
I went to school one day and I told him to pick me up. Once I got my mother's approval, and she really raised me. My dad financially raised me. And going into junior high, but I mean, he doesn't have to now because I have my own career now. So I told him to pick me up one day. I had makeup on. I didn't care what he would say or not.
This was from high school?
Yeah. And he was looking at me like, what the hell is going on over there? And I'm like, it's for a project. And he's just like, no, you've always been gay. Tell me. Like, he's just wanting the answer. And I'm like, I guess he sees it. But now he's like, he's fully accepted of it. Like, he's going around telling people he wants me to do people's makeup. And I'm like, child, I'm giving out my phone number like that, you know? Yeah. But I appreciate the support. So it's just, it makes me happy.
Your parents are accepting.
Yeah. Yeah, they know. They have no choice but to accept. Yeah. I mean, they know I do nothing but good. That's the thing. Like, I'm not out here doing on a drug addiction. I'm not out here killing people. I'm not in a gang. I'm not really doing anything bad for them to say like this is something bad. Like, no, I'm literally just loving people. Yeah. And if that makes me a bad person, I don't know what y'all want me to be.
Yeah, facts.
So you were saying relatives and other family. So what is how do they treat y'all now that they kind of know? Or,
I mean, I've always been out to my friends, but not out to like my mom, right? So other family, I mean, some of my aunts know, but for the most part, my mom's been like don't tell your family type thing. You know what I mean? The typical Habesha experience that you would imagine, but like the ones that are close to me know. So
you're telling me the other ones don't know, or they just, or they. Or, I feel like it's obvious.
I think there's lots of examples that they should know, but you'd be surprised what people fucking block out.
Right? They know.
Blocking stuff out. Yeah.
They talk.
I mean, maybe. Right? But the aunts of mine that know, first of all, don't live here.
Yeah.
And, number one. Number two, they're very Americanized. So they're not the it's the more of the ones in the community that are chatty and like gossip and all this kind of stuff. She's Americanized, so like I'm not worried. I mean, I wouldn't care if anyone knew.
Yeah, I'm at that point.
I don't care.
Like I don't think my grandma knows. I don't think family back at home knows.
Talking about Ethiopia back home?
Yeah, like family wise with my mother's side and my dad's side. But I mean, at this point, I've like reached the full gayness of myself to the point where I can't even go back. Even going back to DL, like I had DL days, and DL stands for down low, wanting, only certain people to know or only like yourself to know.
Yeah.
So I had that in junior high. People would always ask, like, every single day in junior high, I have a question. And I already know the question. And it's like they're so scared to tell me, but they're like, oh, are you? And I'm like, well, I don't even know, so don't ask me. And like it would just keep going, but then I would be like, yeah, I am, but only certain people would know. So only people at the school would know.
Yeah.
But then I gained enough confidence to not care about what other people.
That's how it starts.
Because that's how it starts for everybody. Because you're forced to go to school. You're forced to be in these classrooms full of people that don't have any idea of who you are or what you identify as, and it's just like, okay.
What about the community? Like, how are y'all treated within the community?
Ethiopian community or the LGBT?
Or
both?
Yeah, I guess that's great. Thanks. That's a good question. Ethiopian community, African community, like outside of the.
Whenever I'm outside of my regular group of people that I know here that I grew up with, I'll say depending on which state I'm in, because if I was in California around those kind of Habeshas, it's a whole different story than maybe some of the Dallas and Houston people. Like, so more of the people that I'm around that I don't know, let's say if I was with my girlfriend, like, you get more of the looks of just a double take. It won't really be like people being mean or nothing. It just be like, people staring too hard or something.
Yeah. Oh, you got.
They'd be like, oh, there's one of them. Like, I didn't know y'all was out here in these streets and whatnot. But yeah, it's more of a just surprise.
So they're pretty much accepting of you.
Yeah, I guess if they're not verbally or physically abusive, I guess if that counts.
For me, I was always invited into like, in high school, I would always do like prom makeup and like homecoming makeup, because that's what made me a living while I was in high school. I would always make money off of that every year. Always people telling me, do this and that. And I would get invited to like Ethiopian households, and they never like batted an eye at me, but they were like, it's kind of like odd. But there's nowadays the brands you see, the fashion designers you see are all like in the community. They're all like gay. They're all different identities. And it's like, it's nothing new now. Well, it's nothing new if you already know the industry. But if you don't know the industry and you're kind of like always just to yourself, you're not going to know. So my mom knows that like everything is like LGBT oriented in the fashion industry. And I didn't get treated differently, I would say. After my family found out, I definitely didn't get treated differently. Maybe like some people love me from like a distance because they still don't know. And I guess that's fine. But I've actually surprisingly had family come up to me and ask me like, oh, what are you doing with your life? And I would tell them, and they would be like, if that's what you want to do, and if that makes you a living and that makes you happy, then of course just do what you do. You can do what your mind does.
You'd be surprised how many people are like theoretically opposed to something or like culturally opposed to it, and then it gets into their real life and they're just like,
you're a human.
Yeah, exactly. Because Anyway, that's dope. I appreciate y'all sharing. I know we have Metti here, obviously. Let's get that mic in front of her. That red light pointed at you. All right. I wanted to also get into what the stigmas, if you will, or what is the LGBTQ plus.
Sound it out, buddy.
There you go. Slow it down. Community, like, what is that like back home in Ethiopia? I know you just got here recently.
I did. I moved here 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was very inspiring listening to both of your stories. You guys are amazing. And so back home, it's obviously very different because on top of like the cultural and societal stigmas, there's also the legal aspect where when you're caught, you can face up to 15 years in prison.
For being gay.
Or just having any type of sexual activities and getting caught with a basically a cop there. You will go to jail. It's illegal there. Like, that's why people advocate for like human rights, because it's literally just love, like what other people do. So it just because you don't understand it, you want to take legal effect and mess up someone's life. It's just a little sad for the people that are faced with that type
But
of
what are they being arrested for? Like for
What's the charge?
yeah
homosexuality.
So, yeah.
So what did they
Plus,
have to be
on top
caught
of
doing?
that, it's like
Could be kissing.
Kissing?
anything.
Well,
But
so
like,
all the
what
men hold
happens?
hands out there.
That's not.
That is
That's
it's
that's
like
natural.
It's like a
in America,
natural
that would be
thing.
considered.
Yeah.
No,
Okay. Yeah.
I can hold your hand.
I know, but I'm saying
They
you
would
ain't
still
see
look
it.
twice.
Yeah, they look twice in
look
America.
twice.
Over there, they don't even bat an eye. You know what I mean?
But like, what usually happens is when two men, especially, are caught or are suspected of being gay, then the police like pressures one person to claim that the other one, usually the older person, raped them, and then they're reported as rape cases, which is where all of the stigma that gay men are rapists come from.
They're kind of forcing the stigma.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what happens in courthouses
So you're
when
saying
two gay
just-
men are caught.
Okay, I just want to get this straight. A police officer catches two,
Suspects.
if you will, who are
Or a doctor suspects they're gay based off like physical examinations and then points them towards the police or has the police come
See,
to
that was a
them.
different topic I wanted to get at, actually. But let me finish this first, because just to
Okay.
break it down, right? So, police have two, LGBTQ, let's say, just for lack of a better term, let's just say gay, right? Two gay men in this case, in this example. They find them. They're trying to arrest them. Being gay itself is already a crime in Ethiopia. But not only that, they are pressuring one of them to say that he was raped by the other.
Especially if there's like a substantial age difference.
And then so they can charge them with rape. They already have another charge, which is homosexuality in itself. And then they're using that to align the two.
15 years. Yeah.
And then what, the other person gets off, the one who said I was raped?
Exactly. And like they get pressured into claiming, like saying it was rape because it's like it's either you claim it was rape or you go down with them. You know? And like it's already such a scary idea of being arrested like for homosexuality. So it's just like an easy thing to
Easy
do.
out.
Yeah, it is.
It's like it's crazy. It's like getting caught with like drugs or something here. You know, get caught with something. It's like, don't worry, I'll take the rap. It's like, don't worry, I raped you. You know?
Except the person's not admitting that they raped them. It's just the other
It's like
person is
they
saying.
pit
yeah.
each
Yeah,
of them
exactly.
against
It
each
is.
other.
It's not like one guy's accepting it and saying, it's basically like
Yeah.
ratting on the plug. It's more like that. It's like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
he
that's a
raped
better
me.
way to put it.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that the actual rape cases against little boys don't happen, because they do. It's just a very common misconception and generalization saying that all gay men are rapists.
That they're kind of, it's almost strategically. Like,
Yeah, and
is.
also like
It is very very
pedophile
planned.
too. They try to label that as the community because
I
they
heard
said
about that.
that's what like sets them apart, and it's just like
No.
it's just ignorance. It's just really ignorance. You cannot base someone being that's not even human rights.
Hold on,
That's
the pedophiles.
yeah.
Pedophiles want to be part of like
They-
the
they-
Trying to throw the
LGBTQ
pee up in there.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah,
Wait,
like
They're trying to say that in itself is an
What?
orientation.
That's like an
yeah,
American
like a
thing,
sexual
though. It's
orientation,
not
like how you
Ethiopian thing.
prefer younger people. Like what in the
There was a South Park episode on this. It's true.
like what R. Kelly's brother said
Tapped up.
yeah.
in jail. He was like, "How you mad because R. Kelly got a preference?" And it's like that's
Well, that's not a-
illegal.
yeah. That's an
Like that's
illegal preference.
nasty.
Yeah.
How can you think of someone under
That's
the
an
age of
illegal
18?
preference.
No, that's not right.
yeah.
So that you can't put that in the community. That's not what we are.
Yeah, you just shook me right now. I didn't even know that was going on. It's kind of
Yeah. To kind of go back to the motherland.
Yeah.
Is it pretty similar in the other countries, or
I mean, Eritrea has similar laws. Djibouti, so it's like it's differentiated between having laws that criminalize gay sex and just not having any laws. So Djibouti does not have any laws, as far as I know, and Rwanda either.
Any laws, Malet, like for
There are no laws against.
I think
okay.
Rwanda's actually pro, if I'm not mistaken. Rwanda's like a very liberal country, and Mozambique recently decriminalized their laws regarding gay sex, so that's amazing. Kenya, it was supposed to happen, but then the court hearing got overruled a few weeks ago, actually. So yeah.
So
But then also,
oh,
sorry.
my bad. Keep going. My bad. I
Okay.
didn't mean to cut you off.
But then also, because you guys said that the online space was a safe space for you guys, and that's also what a lot of the community back home uses.
Yeah.
And there are so many Instagram pages now.
Of queer Habeshas.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm on one of them. I didn't even know. They just like reached out to me in DM and was like, they want that page to be public for Habeshas that are queer and
Have nowhere else.
have nowhere else to
express
go. That can
themselves.
use that
Yeah.
page to find other people in the community, or just make sure you don't feel alone, because you can get into like a really deep depression state, especially living in the motherland. Like, I can't imagine ever living in Ethiopia as like growing up, because I wouldn't be able to find myself. And I'm just a feminine guy. So even without makeup, people like misgender me, or like, I just automatically know it would be tough for me to live out there.
Have you been?
Yeah, I actually been to Ethiopia. Not as of recently, but growing up, I went to visit my family for I think a month. I was with my mom, and everything has changed now because is there a new government?
There's a new leader, not a new government.
A new leader, and
Yeah, you're right.
there's a lot has changed now, like structured with buildings and just a lot. So I haven't been there recently. I actually might go September.
Okay.
Which is actually next month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I might go with my mom.
For New Year's in Kutalash.
So, let me ask you this: Would you
Make sure
feel
you speak into
comfortable?
the mic.
Do you feel comfortable going back and be able to wear makeup?
Child, hold on,
That's
child.
crazy.
Now, child.
That's why
Now,
I'm asking.
listen.
I ain't trying to hear your ass got lynched.
Do you know how iconic? No. Do you know how iconic it would be if I were to go with some makeup and film a video just of other people's reaction looking at me?
yeah.
Do you know how popular that video would be?
I'm being honest, bro.
Especially
You don't think it would get out?
after like
Why?
the whole gay
You would be locked up.
tours.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
the gay tour.
I
It's
was-
like
I was gonna
people
get into that,
are
Yeah.
on a whole different
Okay.
way.
Hold on.
Hold on,
Let me
let us tell
introduce
the
this.
gays.
Let me
Okay,
I don't know if you
introduce
heard
this.
about
No,
this.
I
Two
didn't.
tours.
There was a tour, I think it was called Toto Tours or something like
Toto
that,
Tours.
which is this group based out of Chicago. It's
Oh,
like
yeah, I did hear about it.
Okay, yeah, it's I don't want to say it's like a gay group, an LGBT group,
But they're activists?
I wouldn't even say
No,
they're
it's like a
activists. They're
normal
just a
travel-
tour. They're a travel group, but
that caters to
they're catered.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
They cater to the LGBTQ community. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So the like a lot of the people, if not the majority of the people, if not all the people, are in the community and they travel around the world. They had a plan to go to Ethiopia, and you heard about
Yeah,
it.
I've heard
They
about it.
basically released like a press release with the picture of Lalibela saying that they and using it was a play on words, like they're gonna go rock this place, Manama. We're gonna go rock this place, and it was a picture of Lalibela.
What do they mean by rock?
It was
Bingo, that's actually-
euphemism for, I mean, like, I believe, and a lot of other people believe too, that it was just like Americans being like expressive.
Sure.
American.
But it's just the way they said it. Because,
Yeah.
it's very protected. They're trying to protect that space. And they don't want any American going there thinking that they're going to get bombed. They're going to get, it's just...
So here's the thing, and I actually had a quite heated debate with my family about this like not too long ago, right? Because there is what they meant by it, and then there was just strategically like just the idea, like we here in America, we don't get, like especially now, we don't give white people a pass or the media a pass when they word something terribly, right?
Yeah.
We don't just say, oh, they didn't mean it like that. As soon as we like, you should have thought of that.
Yeah.
You
Words
should
have meaning.
Yeah, words have meaning, right? So like there's either, even if it's not your intention. So I think the idea that they were saying, was in the American English dialect, when you say we're gonna go rock this place, like we're gonna go turn up, we're gonna go have a party, we're gonna go, or at least go shake things up. It's one of the two.
Rock the vote.
Rock the vote, right? What is it saying? Or, so it was taken to say, wow, you're gonna go to Lalibela and you're going to express your gayness. That's literally how it was taken. Whether, you know what I'm saying? Which to the people there, once they were able to wind that up and realize what was saying, all hell broke loose in Ethiopia.
But the reaction that got was totally uncalled for, totally unnecessary.
Yeah, I've heard about. I just want to talk about the story I heard. My mom brought that up to me. She saw it on Facebook, and they were talking about how Ethiopians were like they were gonna kill them, saying just all of these harsh things over.
Harsh is an understatement. They shouldn't. It's
The homophobic wave that hit Ethiopia was insane and disgusting.
And it's because they're not in the community. So not only do they not know about the community, but people that are not in the community, they just don't. They just already like as soon as it's brought up, it's just like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like it's just they're trying to cancel that out now.
Yeah.
It's like extinction. Like go.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just extinction or the threat of extinction for the tour. It was also a direct threat to the community that lives in Addis, and it just caused a whole chain of unbelievable fear of existence.
Yeah,
for the LGBT
community
within Ethiopia.
Exactly, because people were just. There was crazy videos going around of people wearing masks threatening to kill any gay person or even any suspected gay person. And there's this very prominent doctor. There's this very prominent doctor who regularly updates and releases videos where he talks about spotting gay people. And he just releases that based off of speculations, to say the least, and to say it in the kindest way. And he has a very large amount of following. So whatever he says, people
it's going to influence other people.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's a belief that even medically, this is because this is a doctor who's saying it, so he's going to have some sort of credibility in regards to
I mean, of course he has credibility in the way that he's a doctor, but
no, I don't mean that to say he's correct. I mean that to say this is why people would be listening to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And he says it's a medical. There's a medical. Does he have a medical explanation
he
for it?
Does not. He just sits in his videos with his white coat on, just talking about how men who don't wear who have no socks in their shoes are gay, and then men who grow their pinkies are gay, which just creates an unbelievable amount of
ignorance.
So he's done research, and he's this is how you spot them, basically.
It's exactly this is exactly, and then it's just it just creates. And the people that follow him are also very violent people and very religious, we will do whatever we can to protect
the community. Our
country.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What we would call right wing out here.
Exactly.
It's a conservative country.
Yeah.
It's an old country with traditional culture and values that, they don't want, especially the West, to come in and try to all of a sudden rock.
I mean, even after the tour.
It's funny. No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. Because I think that has a big thing to do with it, right? Because that was really my end of the conversation, if you will, when I was talking about this debate I was having with my family is, if there is some sort of change to happen within Ethiopia or any place that's a super conservative sort of nation, that place, in my opinion, the change would have to come from within. Because when you have some sort of external force or entity coming in and trying to make a big splash, naturally what's going to happen, especially when you consider Ethiopia and how it is historically, it's there's a bunch of infighting, and then as soon as some external entity comes, it's all right, bet, let's get them out of here first, and then we'll worry about our own infighting, right? So I feel that is a big reason why it became what it is, because as conservative as the country likes to believe it is, and of course the majority of the people are not even in the cities, it's like rural Ethiopia and all that, they're also smart. There's also people who've been educated in different parts of the world. So there's a lot of people who are a lot more hip than you would think, but they are the minority. And so there's, I mean, and I kind of want you to speak on this if you want. I would think that there's some sort of momentum, some sort of growth in that department or from that perspective, but it has to start within, right? Does that make sense?
Of course, absolutely. But also, the tour company wasn't planning on coming and having gay parties, you know?
Sure.
They just wanted to come and visit a country that has a beautiful history, beautiful landscape, beautiful everything, you know? So it was more of like a touristic thing that got totally misinterpreted.
So do you think that that in itself is some sort of privilege? Like they didn't decide to look into the country they were going to? Like you wouldn't go to Mecca and say something like that, or you wouldn't go to Saudi and walking around in a bikini, right? Like there's some sort of
The laws and
like cultural context that you should kind of understand before you go somewhere, right?
Of course.
So what do you think in regards to that? Like, I'll just say what I think. I think that they, in my opinion, honestly, that institution, Toto Tours or whatever, they messed up by not looking into where they were going, by not thinking about what they were saying. I feel like it was an expression of some sort of Western privilege to feel like, they gave us our visas, or they said we can come in there, bet. We're going to just say things how we want to say, we're going to do things how we're going to do, without looking into the country, especially the space. Like Lalibela, we're talking about the most holy place amongst the whole in the Holy Land, you know? Because I don't think if they go in there and leave, if they don't put up that headline, I think they end up going to Ethiopia. I think they do the tour, and I think they leave. I don't think anybody's even paying them any attention. But it's the fact that they came out there and wanted to be outwardly saying, I mean, the rock thing and the play on words, that's just the cherry on top, in my opinion. But like,
Clearly strategic.
yeah, like I feel like they were trying to put out a message
and get some type of response.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I heard it was that they just put out a press statement, a press release or whatever. And then that the Dr. Asirium guy, he was like, oh, okay, so these people like are coming to infest our country. And
they use the words rock this place. They'll use the word rock. It was a play on words from the building, which is Lalibela, which is a rock-hewn church. And then they use that to say, we're going to go rock this place. Now, whether they meant it literally or not, obviously, I doubt that they thought they were going to go party.
That was very insensitive.
Yeah, and that's all. That's really it, the word, insensitive, right? We don't give no people no breaks for that here in America. We don't give you a break for that. So I would think that I feel like they just kind of expressed some sort of privilege.
It could be like it's interesting you say that. It could be sort of like this Western privilege we sort of feel we have when we go to other countries. Even, you know, with the words rock that. It's a tourist group, right? They're a travel group. They know where they're going. They're well aware of that. Anybody who travels in groups, they do their due diligence and research where they're going, right? So they're well aware of where they were or where they were trying to get. So I think the play on words is on purpose, and for that, I don't see, you know, like you said, you could go there and just, you know, do your tour and not have to try to make a big splash. Yeah, scene and splash, because not only are you going somewhere where you're putting yourself in danger, first and foremost, because I've been to Lalibela.
I know, I saw.
You can disappear, okay? You can come up missing in Lalibela, all right? They can find you and you be gone. Like, that's how it is. You see what's going on in the Dominican Republic? Niggas is just disappearing. You think that can't happen in Lalibela? You all ask them come up missing. So, and, you know, it's an old culture and traditional ways. And, you know, like, kind of going back on Western privilege, I remember looking up something on Lalibela once on Google, and, you know, there's always reviews for everything, and there's reviews on Lalibela, like people who've done tours. And I read one of the comments where it was about how they couldn't wear shoes into one of the churches, and how, you know, in our church, there's certain parts where women aren't able to enter in Lalibela, right?
And so they comment on that like, oh yeah, so it wasn't right, you know. Women couldn't enter this room, and I'm like, man, this is something that's been there for thousands of years.
Before even
Like,
you
yeah.
exist. Yeah.
Like,
I feel like
this is
people
what
like
it
that
is.
are. I feel like people like that are entitled,
Yeah.
and I feel like you're going to a place that you don't even have as much knowledge to even know that. Like, I'm Ethiopian, and I have like the full respect of the country, and like you don't just go there and say, hey, like, oh yeah, I had an amazing time, but this place wouldn't. It's like you just feel so entitled, and you can't feel entitled in a place where it has been there before you. Like,
But then again, I mean, speaking of culture and how things have always been, things always having been that way does not mean that they cannot change.
Yeah.
And like culture as a concept, it's always evolving and it's always growing.
Which kind of brings it full circle, because my whole thing was, I do think that some sort of evolution does need to come about, but it would have to be from within.
Of
It would have been
course.
different if.
And it's coming from within.
Well, tell us about this, Metti.
All right.
Yeah.
So one of the big things is the launch of House of Guramaile,
Okay.
which is an intersectional LGBTQ advocacy platform that was created by exiled Ethiopians that are based in London, Vienna, and DC.
Okay.
So what this platform does is it tries to just be the point of contact for the community, provide resources, materials, just be a intersectional safe space.
Okay. And this is, you said they're exiled Ethiopians. So are there any of these people in Ethiopia? Do they do work in Ethiopia?
The founders themselves are not in Ethiopia, but I mean there are points of contacts in
In the
Ethiopia,
country.
yes,
Nice.
that
So-
do like the on ground work.
Providing a safe space.
Providing a safe space and providing accurate information to the people that are not in Addis about the current situation.
Okay. That's cool. So something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's,
And-
that was always the perspective I had. And that was always the point I was trying to make. It was like, does evolution need to happen? Whether I agree or disagree with that, humanity says evolution is always going to happen.
course.
But how it comes about is very important. And it's way different, in my opinion, if you have some internal protests that lead to
Underground.
Yeah.
There are a lot of underground organizations
Right.
that work on that hand out lubricants, condoms, like safe sex ed, everything.
Right. And if they can create some sort of momentum and change from within, I think that is completely different than a group of Americans from Chicago saying, hey, we're going to come pull up. And, you know what I mean? So that's just my 2 cents.
I agree. And, kind of going off of, the whole Lalibela talk and religion, has that, has religion changed for y'all since y'all have come out, or do y'all?
Have you ever been?
Yeah.
religious,
Or I guess,
Okay.
yeah. So, yeah, have you ever
So
been religious?
I want to talk about this. So I was going to talk about religion as well, since we were already on that topic. Now, for me, I feel as if it actually hasn't changed. People are going to perceive that and think it has because of me just being confident with who I am. But I feel like I believe in God. I believe that there is a God, and just by everyday things, like I always not question it, because you're not supposed to question God, but I question whoa, like this, there's this animals, I always say, God is really amazing, because I am spiritually connected to God. Now that's how I see it. As there's people are gonna say whatever they want to say, but I feel like me growing up, I've always been connected with God. That's never changed. So that brings me to the topic of churches. There's pastors that even do sins, that says that you're not supposed to do this in the Bible. But you've heard stories or no of pastors having sex with children, but you're preaching about the good word.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, there's there's bad and good in that. So for me, it has never changed. Still pray. I still watch videos on like, I don't know who, do y'all know who Pastor
Do you know who Pastor?
I don't know his name. I think his name is Steven. Pastor Steven on YouTube. You don't know? He's nice. I watch his videos from time to time.
I probably seen him on social media, come across my page. And
he preaches a good word, but definitely like as a Christian Orthodox, yeah, I don't think that has changed for me. I don't mind walking into a church, you know, respecting all its fields, because people automatically have like this assumption, oh, you walk into church, you're just gonna automatically burn. Like, I think God is love, and that's just that. Like, you can't change that. I'm not, like I said, out here hurting people. I'm literally just loving. So if that makes me a bad human, then
it's your
so
personal
be it.
connection, man. It's
Yeah.
your personal connection.
I would say, you know, just being in the Ethiopian community, everybody grew up religious. I mean, we meet everyone based on what church you went to.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's how I know everybody. So I was definitely grew up in the religious Orthodox side, but I'd say more now I tend to lean more towards a spiritual, because once we get in the specifics of Christianity and the man-made version of it, it's gonna, you know, it's gonna put us against each other based on your denomination, based on all these other things. So I'm, if anything, you know, I'm a antagonist. You know, I know there is a God, there's a higher being.
Yeah.
There are things connected in this world that, you know, make stuff happen. But it's like overall, it's just the general rules of being a good person. You know, like what
Human rights, you know,
It's
just
just-
easy things like that. Like, you can't bring religion in everything, you know, just a basic human. Like, you're trying to lock up this certain individual for 15 years because of this act. But, you know, you're quick to say, oh, you can't judge as a Christian, but what are you doing? You know, it's basic, simple things like, oh, I have a mask. I want to protect my country. I have, you know, this, and I'm ready to kill. But it's like in the Bible, it says, you know, love thy neighbor. You're supposed to love your neighbor. And it's like, you're doing
can't
all of
pick and
these.
choose.
You can't pick and choose exactly on what you like and what you don't like.
Sin is greater.
No sin is greater. So it's like, just be a human and receive your blessings and stop blocking them. Thanks.
Speaking of blocking them, I don't know why I said speaking of blocking them, like that was like a segue.
It's like segue. Where's
But,
you going with this?
Nah, so I wanted to ask y'all because we were talking about y'all experiences and everything. You know, what have been some like I guess the anti-experiences y'all have gotten?
In where? In like the church fields?
No,
or?
just anywhere, just things that have occurred to you.
I
in
wanted
your
to
life.
talk about this.
Okay.
So, okay, like I said, I am a very confident person. I'm very beautiful. And people are automatically intimidated by my presence. So it's very weird for them to be like, oh, whoa, what is this? I go into malls looking like this. You know, sometimes I go into malls look with like my Halloween costume, like God forbid for people.
What are
Yes,
you wearing?
I was wearing like a pumpkin outfit, and I had like this pumpkin drawn on my face, like half of my, like it looked really amazing. So just automatically, people are automatically like looking at the work. But needless to say, people, like I said, are intimidated, so they will do nothing but stare. And it's like, okay, you can't stare at someone, because I'm not staring at you like this if I don't know you. You know, if you're gonna say something, you need to say it. If it's nice, it's nice. If it's not, let it happen, because I got some friends. But just overall, like, I don't know, I've had one experience, but I think I've had more than one. Like, I'm gonna talk about this one experience. So it was in Kaboom Town in Addison, and it was July 4th. I was with my bestie, and we went to go watch the fireworks as a regular human would. And I'm walking, right. And we're leaving out the area, and nothing happened throughout that whole day until that night. Like, while we were leaving, there was a fight going on in the street, and we were watching it or whatever. And then I live down the street, so I'm walking on the sidewalk, and I get something thrown at me, and I don't know what this was. I thought I got shot for a second. I'm like, what is this? But it was the little ice cube that got thrown on my head. So I turned around, and there was literally no one behind us but these three individuals. And I'm with my bestie. So she's ride or die with me. So, and like I said, I'm never scared. So let's bust down if we got to. But that happened, and I turned around, I'm like, what was that? And she was like, oh, it was just like an ice cube. And I'm like, and I turn around and it's 3 individuals and they're white. And they look like the stereotypical, And I'm like, who threw it? And they're like, this guy is nice. And I'm like this with you guys. I'm in front of them. I'm like, who threw it? And they're like not answering. And I'm like, who threw it? Now had I just automatically, whoa, then that's whenever I would be in the wrong. Right. But I'm asking y'all a question, y'all ignoring me like I'm not here. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so you're going to do this, but you're not going to be bold enough to say you did it. Yeah. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I walk away. Now I'm livid at this point. I'm like talking my mouth. I'm busting. I'm ready to, And I'm like walking down the street as well with my friend. And we see this car bust down hoopty car, ready to talk some mess. He got this big nigga in the back, and he got this female sitting in the passenger seat. And he's like, oh, hell no, what the And I'm like looking at him, I'm like, I know you're not talking. Like, I can say some bad things. I try not to because, I am,
love.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. But, some people do take me to that point, and you just sometimes have to get to that. But I'm like talking mess. And I'm like going off on him. I'm like, you got your windows down like you ain't got no AC. Like what's up? Because like we here, like what's up? And he's not doing nothing.
Same day,
Thank
different
you.
group.
I'm like flicking. No, what?
This is a different group though. Different group of 3 people.
No. Same day.
Yeah.
Yes, 2.
Okay,
actually, 3 incidents happened as I'm walking. Yeah, so it's like it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm flicking him off. I'm ready to do whatever. And I'm with my bestie. They're not doing nothing. Go ahead and drive like you was doing. Don't say nothing. And his girl in the car like, oh, don't worry about it. You slay, boo, this and that. And I'm like, well, first off, no, I don't want a compliment from you because you hang around with this ignorant ass nigga. So just keep it. And I'm like, going off. And I see this like family behind me as like we're walking down, and they got this child. And I'm like doing all these bad stuff. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, okay, let me relax. This child is watching. Like, let me relax. I'm walking. I just really ignored everything. And then when we're about to pass the street, across the street, the mother came by and was like, I admire you guys. You guys are inspirational, and don't ever stop being you. And I understand what these people are doing, these things, but just don't let it get to you. So that was not the first time that ever happened. That's probably not going to be the last. Word. But, definitely had like several experiences like that. Never to the point where it was like really physical, because people are not that bold, but there are some people that are bold, and I'm ready for that day. So what's up?
Kaboom Town means something completely different for you, huh?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Fireworks
like,
going off.
Okay, yeah, but that won't stop me from going.
Yeah.
So that definitely happens. Incidents happen like that. But like especially in high school too. That.
Yeah.
Hey man, it's Texas, man. You can stay strapped.
Yeah.
He like, hell yeah.
No,
Period.
we Habesha. We don't do guns.
Yeah. There you go.
It was like, no.
Did you have any sort of experience with it?
No, not really, to be honest. If anything, it's just more passive aggressive looks, maybe some mumbles, because this is the South. It's definitely rural and country and conservative, but for the most part, it's very, like you said, talk mess, and when you turn around, quiet. You know what I mean?
Always like that.
It's talk a game, but not really a bark. So they're rude, but they're more passive aggressive rude. Yeah. They're not directly, maybe more in different parts of Alabama, Mississippi, some of those places that would outright be rude to you. Like I've heard of my aunts, for example, very fob individuals, let's say. They were driving through I want to say to get to like Ohio or something, and they drove through Alabama, and this was, I would say, less than 5 years ago, so still present time. And they stopped in a country place in Louisiana or Alabama, one of those 2 states, and they literally tried to get gas, and they wouldn't it was one of those small places where they had to actually like pump the gas for you type thing. Yeah. They wouldn't give them gas.
Yeah.
Because they're all black. No, I wasn't there. Oh, it was all like my aunts and uncles.
Okay,
yeah. They're old folks, so it's just like, like, what are you really intimidated by here? Mm-hmm. Is it really just because we're black, which sounds ridiculous, but it's like
there
That
are
shit
people
still
out
happens.
there like that
It's a little
judge
bit
off
more-
of your race, judge off of your sexual identity, gender identity, all of that. Like, it comes to play. You hear stories every day in the world. How crazy this world is, how sick people are, and
Yep.
will just go far to not give you human.
Yeah, we gotta shout out my transgender family because there
Thank
was a lot of
you.
crazy stuff going on in Dallas recently.
Yep, and
That-
where
speak on
in
it.
Like
Dallas,
they found in White Rock Lake, they found multiple transgender bodies. Literally, I mean, I don't know details, but like there's supposed talks that there's possibly, you know, one person or who knows, many directly looking for transgender people. I mean, you heard of the shooting thing in Deep Ellum, no? Yeah. So it was a white man
of
who
course.
worked at a bar in Deep Ellum that was working, and literally, of course, at 3 a.m. somehow very drunk. When were you working? But anyway, so he gets upset because I think this transgender woman was, I don't know, walking, doing nothing. Gets out of his car, pulls out a gun, and starts berating her,
Yep.
and then I want to say hits her with the gun, beats her up a little bit, all while multiple people are in different
Watching.
directions are watching,
And-
filming, etc.
I do remember this.
Yeah.
And you know, white privilege is really a thing. If
Yeah.
you don't know, it's a thing. And you can get by court cases, several things of this country just because of your race. You can get by. There's footage of Trayvon Martin, of who else? Eric Garner. There's so many
tons of people.
situations. Like, it's really sick how people get by just murdering people on camera. And it's like, I really, really pray one day that, people do get the justice they do, because that's not right. And that's crazy. I actually didn't hear that story.
Yeah.
I grew up right next to White Rock Lake. So just even being close in that community, like, that's already crazy.
Could be like a serial killer.
That's what they're saying. Funny
It
enough.
could be. That's not the first story that has happened in Dallas or in anywhere near Texas. Like, it's happening everywhere. How sick people are.
So, I've enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I was right about to say, I just wanted to thank you guys for more than anything. We were looking to have this sort of conversation on our platform as soon as we decided we were going to do it. We knew that it was important. So, but before we end anything, is there anything that you all want to make sure that gets stated? Any last words? Any sort of anything you want to put out there, or even your own social media? If you want to shout yourself out, it's your time. You know what I'm saying?
Just-
Words, man.
I mean, just really a matter of, take the time to listen to what your self is trying to tell you, Talk to some people, get some support that way. Yeah, sure. Holler at me. That's cool. My Instagram's Effy2308. So, yeah, for any of those topics, feel free to hit me up.
Metti, anything you want to say?
I mean, thank you guys for providing this platform. You guys are amazing for even willing to have this conversation. And yeah, that's it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for this platform. This is hopefully going to reach someone out there that's listening to this, to inspire them to be them and feel like they're not alone. And yeah, I have an Instagram. It's Yonnas, KingYonnaz. I'm thinking about trademarking my name so that I can get the.
Don't say it
official
too loud,
name. I
then,
know,
man.
child, but ain't nobody gonna do that because you don't know what I'm gonna trademark.
Yeah.
You don't know how I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely gonna get in the works. But until then, everything on social media is KingYonnaaz.
Appreciate that, man.
We'll have it all pulled up on the
Screen.
But for the listeners, though, it helps.
For sure, man. So again, thank you all for coming out. Always peace, love, and we'll see y'all next time.
Sir, suck it easy, man. Well, I don't think that's appropriate to say in this episode, right?
Good job.
this-
Good job.
Wrong audience.
Don't suck it easy.
Almost made that.
No is no, okay? No matter what you're wearing, okay?
Let's cut this fucking cake now.
The villagers